One question we get a lot of is, can you install glue down vinyl over tiles, porcelain tiles, slate tiles, hand-baked tiles? In most cases you can. Some are easier than others, and there are some checks and balances that you need to sign off first before you proceed. Because if the tiles are not properly bonded into the substrate and they are hollow, like when you run a reverb stick, but basically when you're checking your tiles and you're seeing if they are hollow or not, that is a big no-no. Anything that's loose, water, or it's got a residue on it will have to be removed. When we go over a tile, we need to make sure that there is no contamination on the surface. So that needs to be removed. In most places, we can remove that with a strong tile cleaner or a diluted acid solution. In other instances, we actually need to grind the surface. So if we have like a hand-baked terracotta tile, these are particularly troublesome because a lot of them are sealed with a linseed oil, and we actually need to grind away that surface so that we get to the inner core of those terracotta tiles before we can then put primers on the surface. We can't just go directly over the top. So the number one rule is to make sure that we have an intact, solid, well-installed tile. Number two is we need to make sure there's no contaminants on the surface, and those need to be removed. Unfortunately, we cannot install over a slate tile because of the multiple layers within the natural structure of a slate tile. We don't know when a layer will release. So it's too risky, and 100% of the time we remove slate tiles if you want a glue down vinyl floor. So once we've established that the tiles are integrous, there's no moisture, there's no loose tiles, etc., we can then go with decontaminating the surface and then apply a slurry. Now there are different slurries available in the marketplace. Two options that we have that you can find on Floor Mechanics website that we use pretty much every day is the ITE slurry, which is a paint-on system which dries really quickly, so it helps us speed up on time, especially if we're following that with a ITE screed. The other option we have is from South Africa Cementitious Products. We have their slurry, which is also a paint-on system, which is then followed with tile self-leveling screeds. Now, whenever we want to install over a tile surface, we need to take into account the grout line, and that's why we need to always apply a self-leveling screed over the top of tiles. So ultimately, if there is any lippage, which is height variances between tiles, or if there is any dips in those big grout lines, those grout lines will echo through the vinyl in time if they are not filled through with a self-leveling screed. So this is an essential component. If we have a very shiny tile, we do like going over the tiled surface with sandpaper to scratch it up as such before we apply the slurry. That just gives us a better surface profile in which the slurry can lock into that surface, mechanically lock into that surface, giving us a stronger system throughout. So once we have prepared the tiles appropriately, we then follow with a standard LVT glue down system of self-leveling screed, glue, and we proceed with the installation. One thing you do need to note is that because the screed is only drying through the top surface and it's not pushing moisture into the topping or that concrete layer below, it's only being able to push moisture through the top. They generally do take longer to dry out. So if you are considering not removing your tiles and wanting to go over the surface, this is totally acceptable if they are properly bonded. Unfortunately, here in the South African marketplace, we find a lot of tiles that are very poorly installed, and the clients generally have one or two tiles that are cracked. We then come through with our reverb stick and we identify, well, while there's only a few tiles that are cracked, actually a lot of expansion contraction has been happening across the entire floor, and a lot of the tiles are already loose, although they don't look it. These tiles, generally, we whip them out. It's a day of pain, but it's a whole lot of gain with ensuring that your installation happens safely and will remain intact for many years to come. So if you're considering a glue down vinyl project, all of the products that you need for self-leveling, adhesive, and the vinyl products can be found on the Floor Mechanics website. And if you want to really dial in and just double check yourself before you purchase your product, give us a shout. We've got the WhatsApp hotline, we've got email, or you can just give us a phone call.